But I want to go to unsolved crime scenes as a paranormal investigative team with a forensic psychologist, and use that gimmick to try and suss out the solution to the unsolved crime.
Interesting.
That's
That sounds
cool.
like an NBC show right there, sir.
Yeah.
I think you should just go ahead and
I would
send that
watch
over to them. I would.
Right, just
seriously.
do it right now and say I'll text them.
Just do it. Yeah. Just text them
Mr. NBC.
Dear NBC,
up. Oh,
got a
man.
Peacock one for you.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Trust me.
So I think it would be fun.
Welcome to the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, a show that celebrates all things nerdy. You'll get an insider's look into the world of comic books, graphic novels, TV and film, gaming and pop culture, as well as the technologies that drive all of it. Now, are you ready to get nerdy?
Welcome to the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, the show about all things nerdy. We discuss nerd news, movies, TV shows, games, comics, and interview the amazing creators who bring it all to life. I'm Brian.
I'm Jeremy.
And brace yourselves, because we're about to get nerdy.
That's right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week's guest, my goodness, he's an author, a performer, a playwright, a filmmaker, and a teacher at the university level. His films, like Dark Places and the Frankenstein Syndrome, and approximately 70 more, my goodness, can be seen worldwide. He is the author of several novels, collections, and graphic novels, including Cherub, Cannibal Fat Camp, which is fantastic, Pegged, Scorn, and Muddled Mind, the complete works of Ed Wood Jr. And he is a member of the Dramatist Guild. Ladies and gentlemen, we give to you the never-ending talent of David Hayes.
That's amazing. Wow. So like a never-ending talent, is that like the cellulite of talent?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's what you are, sir. There you go.
Yeah,
That's now
that's
you
fine.
gotta you gotta update your LinkedIn now. That's
The
your new title.
600-pound virgin of talent.
Yes. If that doesn't scream impressed, I don't know what does.
Oh, that's
Give
funny.
me a bucket of chicken, I'll make you a book.
Oh, yes. That's my payment. Meat and fried. Oh gosh. How is
funny.
this crazy dumpster fire of a year treating you, sir?
So it is a crazy dumpster fire of a year.
Indeed.
I feel like I thrive in chaos though. And I'm a natural hermit too. So the quarantining,
this is your land. Yeah.
Well, I'm a Gen Xer. We were born to be alone. So I'm okay with this. I'm all right with it. It's disappointing to see so much strife and disease and mayhem, but I think that the year there have been bright spots.
Yeah,
I mean overall. So I think that maybe we got a little used to being comfortable and safe.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up because I don't know that it's all that bad that we have. I look at this as, it is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's all great, but yeah, this year sucks. But at the same time, I think it has made us appreciate some things a little bit more. For what, like going places and seeing people that we love in large groups. For those of us who enjoy going to concerts, I know it's made those people extremely. I am not one of those people,
right.
But it's made that group of people extremely grateful for whenever that comes back.
Yeah.
I think there are some good things about taking some things away, making things a little uncomfortable, and making it more, making you appreciate those things a little bit more.
Yeah, I look at it in terms like we were asked to, stay home, stay safe, and try and stop a disease. My grandfather was asked to go to Germany and shoot Nazis. This pales in comparison.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we got it.
I'm okay with it.
We got a little easier than they did in this situation. Our moment to shine was a little bit less difficult than theirs.
Right. Winston Churchill's convincing the people not to abandon their island as bombs rain down, and I have to watch Netflix. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah. It's a little less intense. Oh, good grief. Well, I am. It seems like you have a pretty good a pretty positive outlook on things, man. We need a little bit more of that.
Oh yeah, it's got to be positive. I mean, it's I work in education and entertainment. So if someone's leg isn't missing and there's no blood, it is no foul. It is a great day.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good life motto right there. Yeah. No blood, good day. All right. Well, all right, we're going to jump right in, sir, and we're going to jump right into our introductory segment, which is a little thing we like to call Get to Know Your Dingoes, because now, David Hayes, you are an honorary dingo. We knight you, Sir Dingo David Hayes.
That's actually going to go on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Oh, as it should. It should. And so we're going to ask you a couple questions.
We should make up little like the graduation thing that show
like a certificate.
Yeah.
A certificate.
We send everybody beforehand.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. It's in the mail, man.
Wow. You guys are in entertainment because it's probably sitting there with all my checks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You'll see those checks in the mail as well. Yeah. Oh man. Well, we ask everybody if just 2 or 3 questions. They're all the same, just to kind of warm up, get to know each other a little bit better. And the first question is, what kind of nerd are you?
I've, in full disclosure, I've been provided an outline of today. And that's the one question that I've been debating.
Tell them.
I mean, this is the first time I've ever heard this question today.
We did not send you a script.
I misspoke.
There is no outline to this show at all.
So I think if I'm a nerd, I am a straight up card carrying horror nerd.
Nice.
Okay. In all mediums and modalities.
All right. Great. We have only had one other. Actually, did Andrew Morris say that he was a horror nerd, or did he just say?
I think he said movie.
He was a movie guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
So we got a first on the show, sir.
Right. I'm also going to admit to being a professional wrestling nerd as well.
Okay. That is definitely a first of our guests, and I love it. Now, are you current? Are you on involved currently? Or are you you were big in the day, but now you're not. You don't.
Oh no! I'm currently involved, sort of a historian. I think it's a peak storytelling mode. I dabbled back in the day. I was I wrestled a little bit, and then did some ring announcing and some color commentary for a few shows. But it was. I think I love theater and I love comic books, and it is the perfect hybrid of the two.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah,
I've got a friend who's in like the professional wrestling circuit in this region. His name's Jake, but his alter ego or whatever is called Big Beef.
Big Beef.
Big Beef.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, is he a little guy? Because that would be ironic.
No. He's chunky.
When I wrestled, I was Joe Brony.
Okay.
And the gimmick was that I never won a match. I was 0-1,000.
That's hilarious.
You were the lowest score possible guy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's wonderful.
My finishing maneuver. So I'm from Michigan, so I did this largely in the Southwest, but my finishing maneuver was I would run away and they would call it D-Town Shuffle.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wasn't very good. I mean, just in general, character wise and performance wise.
Right.
I don't know, man. That sounds like that's a lot of fun to watch. I feel like if I were watching you, I probably would have rooted for you the entire time, absolutely knowing that you would lose every time.
Oh, every time. Yeah. I think the last match I did, to tell you the level I was at, it was a charity match in the lobby of a movie theater. They had a ring set up and they were showing El Santo movies. And so I jerked the curtain and I got beat down by 2 of the thinnest young men I've ever seen in my life. And then the guy that came in and saved me beat me down.
Oh my God.
At the end of it, I got a weight belt with a hubcap taped to it. It was the Lombardi International title.
Yeah.
And the only way to get rid of that title was to win. So I just kept it.
Yeah. Yeah, at least if you're gonna be a champion, be a champion of something and own it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, So we came up with the idea because that was after the Detroit Lions did their 0-16 year.
Oh God,
yes.
The perfect season, I call it.
Yeah,
There's a 0 on one side and a number on another side. I mean, semantics.
Yeah, we don't
I'm
need
a Bears
to get...
fan, so like,
Oh, my condolences.
I remember that because I was like, "What is happening? Matt Stafford is so great.
Yeah.
He's such a great quarterback. Like, how do you do this?" Was that before they got Megatron?
No, it was during Megatron.
That's insane. How do you?
No, right after. It was right after he left.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so yeah, my wife is in Chicago. We met in Chicago. She's from she grew up on the north side, and so we have this like divided home of Bears and Lions fans. Except when they do actually play, it's just who can wail the loudest. We're like old Jewish women at a funeral.
Yeah. Just singing your lamentations the whole time.
Yeah. The whole time your head's just in your face. God,
what
why do I do this to myself?
Yeah.
We make appetizers and like sit Shiva for the game.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, man.
That was the wow. We went. That's the kind of nerd. A weird horror pro wrestling nerd.
I love it.
Yeah, we've never had that before.
No, we haven't.
You're the
but
first.
I'm glad we do now. Well done.
Thank you.
I'll send you a belt with a hubcap on it.
Please do. I'll wear it around. I'll wear it around class.
Pixar, it didn't happen.
Sorry. So the next question we have is, again, this is something we ask everybody, but what are your top 5 movies?
Top 5 movies.
Of all time. Easy
all
category.
Time. Number 1, John Carpenter's Halloween.
Oh, yes.
1978 near perfect movie.
Yeah.
I love
I would agree
so much. That movie is actually the movie that still scares the pants off me, man. Like, I saw it first time when I was 9 years old. Which, one could argue that's too young to watch the first Halloween movie. I don't think so. And I watched it and it scared the crap out of me. And now like just seeing the shape, just standing there staring into your soul, is one of the creepiest things ever. And I mean, my goodness, the best soundtrack to any horror movie ever.
Sure.
Hands down. And
John Carpenter is incredible.
Oh, God.
The most amazing part about it, and I showed when I was at a couple of different universities, I designed some film programs, and I would routinely show Halloween to show how you can build tension without blood or gore.
Yeah.
It is just camera and light. That is all he uses, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
and
I don't think there's blood in any of them.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, so the second one in Halloween, here's nerd time. Halloween 2 got really, really, really bloody.
Yeah,
it was actually a reaction to all the ripoffs that came out from Halloween because they got progressively gorier and gorier. And so to keep up, Canon Films is like, well, we'll just stick him in a hospital and poke everyone.
Right. Yeah. The kill count for the second one, I think, is it triple the first, or is it just something?
It's up there.
It's
and
insane.
It's far more graphic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, he boils somebody alive.
Oh
yeah.
Rad.
It's insane. Yeah. Yeah. He just cranks that heat up in a hot tub, and he's like, "Oh no!
Oh, that's gross.
You're really warm now."
Hot tubs are like really gross to begin with. It's like human soup in there anyway. So yummy.
Yeah, that's gross.
Delicious.
So I don't know if you have watched any of our previous episodes, but I am definitely like new to the horror game. I didn't watch them in the past, and I felt like I couldn't call myself a movie nerd unless I was able to at least be able to be like conversational in horror movies. So I've been like playing a lot of catch up. But I've probably watched like 45 movies in the last month. Oh, good.
Yeah. October being the most perfect time. The best part about all these streaming services is some of the weirdest crap is on there now. The most obscure weird stuff, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
But as far as film is concerned in general, without horror, you wouldn't have anybody. That's where people cut their teeth. That's where I cut my teeth way back in the day. And it's a very simple formula. Horror fans will give anything a shot. You don't have to have the Tom Hanks or the massive budgets. It is simply a genre that is nearly unquenchable for the fans, and you can just wow, it the starts that it's made. You look at like Kevin Bacon, Friday the 13th, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween, Johnny Depp, Nightmare on Elm Street. That's just actors. Jonathan Demme, who swept the Academy Awards for Silence of the Lambs, started with Roger Corman way back in the day.
Yeah, and I think some of the absolute best practical effects artists come from the horror genre. I mean, you look, Tom Savini, and I mean, you look at his school now. How many people have been taught by this man and have gone on to make amazing films?
Yeah, look at someone like Greg Nicotero, who cut his teeth on The Bees, and now he's directing most of one of the formerly biggest shows in TV history, in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, absolutely. So the horror genre brings it's so grossly underrated, especially I think the 80s era. That's when all the big boom of all this happened. I mean, you can say a lot of it's the same thing, kind of regurgitated in creative different ways, but that was the beauty of it. It was how do we take this thing and do it again in a new fun way, and get really creative with the kills, get creative with the effects, and it was just from that aspect, it's a brilliant thing to observe.
Do you want to? Do you feel like going into my horror deep dive?
Ooh, let's do it. Let's dive deep, sir.
So, horror is cyclical.
Yeah.
So it goes in cycles. You talk about the 80s. The 80s was a real big boom. 95 or 96 when Scream came out, another boom started. But you go back into the 70s, then you go back to the 60s, and they're reflective of our times. So horror is actually reflective of our social stratus, social issues that we're dealing with right now. So you can talk about the 1930s and 40s with the Universal monsters.
Yeah.
That just, it's so incredibly successful. And all the way back into literature. So Dracula in 1883 wasn't a book about a vampire. It was a book about sex. And the only way you could talk about penetration was in the guise of fiction. And we update it, to 1968, and George Romero makes Night of the Living Dead in the middle of a Cold War. And why are zombies so scary? Well, they are this shambling horde with a single-minded ideology to kill you, and the only way to get rid of them is to blow that ideology out of their heads. And there's an analogy for communism during that Cold War. So we reflect all these things. Fast zombies now, thanks to 28 Days Later, are post 9/11 terrorists. So striking out of nowhere. And so we've got these sorts of ideas that are reflective, and then we're upping the gore and the horror and the terror and the suspense. Every cycle gets bigger. And a lot of people trying to ascribe that to producers and filmmakers just wanting to get more and more intense. But really, we have to look at the audience. As our world gets more horrible, for example, our fiction has to match it, or it's not going to succeed.
Yeah.
In the late 1800s, there was a theater in France called the Grand Guignol. And it was a theater where there was horror. So someone would get their head cut off on stage, and then some clowns would come out and throw pies for another story. And then it'd be a terrible like rape and revenge story, and then more comedy. And it was massively popular. There was just people lined up to go see this gore and horror and comedy and this roller coaster of emotion. And it persisted through the 1940s. It was very popular until Hitler crosses the Rhine and Nazis invade Paris. And now the fiction doesn't match up to what you're seeing outside your window. So the fiction dies until it gets bigger.
Yeah.
Dracula from 1931 has essentially the same themes as Interview with a Vampire, with incredibly intense build up to gore and suspense.
Yeah.
So I think we drive it as audience members based on our society and what we find to be fearful right now.
Yeah, that's, and I think that's a very interesting take. You promised deep depths, sir, and you delivered.
Jam.
But I do think like there is also like another like a level of desensitization is essentially what you're getting at. There is our surroundings are worse than what we see on TV. So the stuff on TV is to escape has got to be
look at the 70s.
More scary.
In the 70s, we had I Spit on Your Grave, which was intensely horrific.
Gosh, yes.
Last House on the Left, which is intensely horrific. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And that's a reaction to watching a war on the news.
Yeah.
It was the first time you got to see semi-real-time war with Vietnam on the news. So how can Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff compete with that?
Yeah.
They absolutely can't.
Yeah.
So in comes Tobe Hooper. And not coincidentally, the rise of the TV movie, the horror TV movie was right after that as well. Kolchak, the Night Stalker, Tobe Hooper again with Salem's Lot, and these things that were definitive of my generation.
Yeah.
So we couldn't escape the horror, and then it had that big lull, through the 90s.
Yeah.
Until Scream popped again, another big lull, and then we've got a nice resurgence in remakes right now. Love them or hate them. But
we've got remakes, and then we've got really like capital F films like The Witch and Hereditary, and then we've got the Conjuring movies as well. So it's this, and I think those types of horror movies are it's very interesting because you look especially them versus the horror movies of the 80s. I think it also speaks to the fact of as a society we are craving story more than anything else. And so the horror movies now that are most successful have a very intricate story that people want to pay attention to and think through at the same time as being terrified.
And that's always bugged me because the story's the cheapest part, right? I'm a screenwriter. I know how much they make. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So why can't you have both?
Yeah.
So my favorite stuff from the 80s, like A Nightmare on Elm Street, wonderful story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stellar. Clive Barker's Hellraiser. I'm a huge Clive Barker fan.
Yes.
And just these are, wonderful stories. Even something, Halloween was a great story in its ambiguousness and ambiguity.
Yeah. It was almost like what wasn't told. That was the most interesting part. It was who is Michael Myers? Why is he like this? What is happening? You never have any of those answers from the first movie. I mean, if you go on to the sequels, you get kind of an answer, but I'm actually very curious to see where they go with the new timeline that they're doing.
I like the new timeline.
I
like how they killed like 2 through 8 because I grew up with those. I love them. So I think Season of the Witch is a wonderful movie.
I love Halloween 3. Yeah, it's so much fun.
But I like because with the Halloween 2018, that's exactly where Laurie Strode would be, obsessing for 40 years about this guy that's going to come back. And I thought it was a wonderful progression. So I'm really kind of interested to see where they go as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially since he was literally on fire the last time we saw him.
He's been on fire before. So
but not in this timeline.
That's true. This is the first fire he's been a part of now.
My favorite moment, and it was a little thing. So I think Blumhouse is doing a killer job.
Oh gosh.
And my favorite moment in that Halloween, spoiler alert, is he's on fire. The house is burning. They're in the pickup truck, and the fire trucks are going the other way, and they're screaming for them to stop. Yeah. Don't put out the fire.
Yeah.
It was. I think that the attention to detail was Carpenter-esque.
Oh, perfect. The ending was just great because it echoed the ending of the first one so well, especially when you do the panoramic view of the basement on fire and it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, how? What? Yeah. It's just, it adds more and more to the mystery. So, all right, man, the first one is
we got the first movie.
Solid one. What you got for number 2?
Number 2, Jaws.
Nice.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Jaws, it deeply affected me. Yeah. I think that Spielberg came into his own with Jaws. I also think Chief Brody is a perfect sympathetic hero.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cop that just can't take it anymore and doesn't like the water, but holy shit, there's a shark.
Yeah.
And I think that the shark not working historically, famously, provided the template for the creature feature that so many people ripped off afterwards.
Yeah. The fact that you just never see the shark until the end, you get that. It was such a beautiful buildup, and it actually, like, I prefer horror movies where you never really see what the monster or the creature is, like, or you might get a little glimpse at the end or something like that. Like, I loved that. And I
Or
thought
how
a
they
movie
only
that
show like the corner of Michael Myers' face or
Mhm.
something like that.
yeah, it just adds
Yep.
to the mystery of it all.
Yep.
It's absolutely great. And I mean, Jaws, again, talking about amazing soundtrack and such a simple soundtrack,
Yep.
if you look at just the
Yep.
music sheet, it's like, okay, but
It's just a half step. That's
yeah,
it.
man, that's
Okay.
it. But it does the job, and it
Yep.
was brilliant. And it's the reason that I'm terrified of sharks. I
Right.
love them. I think they're fascinating. I never want to go in the ocean, and it's because of that movie.
Yeah. When I was
Yeah.
in not high school, when I was in college, I was taking music theory,
Mm.
and so they were talking about intervals and things like that, and how to train your ear to hear, and so they associated different intervals with a song. Like one of the intervals, it's like happy, like that, happy birthday, but the first interval, everybody was like, Jaws. That's it. Jaws. Remember
Yeah.
that. You'll never forget it ever again. So yeah.
Yep.
It just goes to show something so simple could convey all of that emotion.
Yeah.
That's also one of the best parts about horror too, is it doesn't get the budget. No one's spending billions of dollars on it because it doesn't matter. You can spend $18 million on a movie or $1 million on a movie. It's going to gross the same in the genre.
Yeah.
So the horror filmmakers and are really need to be versatile, like almost theater-esque, and here's what you have to work with.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Yeah.
And that even translate to the score. Simplicity is what it's all about. It's a base human emotion, fear. So a base story and a base score really translates well. That's why I think Chief Brody was probably one of the best heroes out there. Got a simple fear, and you know what? To save your family, you got to conquer that fear. They're dead.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
all right. So what's your
Number
third
3?
pick? Yeah.
3. You've probably seen a theme here. The Howling
the theme.
from 1981.
Yes. Okay. So I have to ask you a question because this came up on a previous episode. Which transformation scene do you think is better, The Howling or American Werewolf in London?
Howling.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't decide because I've heard really strong arguments for both. Our previous guest said, Andrew Morris said American Werewolf in London because it was all in a well-lit room, so it kind of like showed the chops. But
I can see, I mean, as an effect, I could see American Werewolf in London. What I like the most about The Howling is it's a movie about beasts.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what jungle they're in, the jungle of the city, the jungle, the forest of the commune, but it is gritty and it's bestial. It's visceral. It's visceral in a way that American Werewolf London is not. And that transformation scene, the one that stuck with me the most, because I saw it when I was 10, and it's they're having sex at the campfire, and it's the really lame, cartoon one, because there's people having sex, and I'm like, oh my God. That's the first time I've seen this. Right. So that resonates.
Yeah.
But there's I don't think anything finer than Eddie Quist pulling his brain out to prove that he's immortal. In the middle of a transformation.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Like, I haven't seen that movie in a few years, and now that it's come up twice, just now I'm like, I have to immediately go watch this.
After that's what I was doing a minute ago. I put it on my list of
did you?
movies to watch.
American Werewolf is tremendous too, though.
It's so good.
That's a great year. 1981 is the year of the wolf, and I'm editing actually a werewolf movie encyclopedia. So there's so much werewolf shit in my head right now.
Yeah,
81 had American Werewolf in London, The Howling, Wolfen, Full Moon High. That Alan Arkin precursor to Teen Wolf.
To Teen Wolf, okay.
And then Fury of the Wolfman, one of the Nashi films. So 81 really packed in all the werewolves.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's sad. Like the werewolf is probably my favorite monster. And you don't really see a whole lot of them anymore. And I mean, I remember what did you think of the remake of the Wolfman with Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro?
I thought it was solid because it's a remake. And I and I love the original, of course. Lon Chaney Jr. is absolutely wonderful, but it needed to get updated because it was getting ignored by modern people. Yeah. I think that Del Toro was okay, but as a compliment to Claude Rains, Anthony Hopkins nailed it. And he pulled that whole thing together. And I felt for him. I mean, I've always felt for Larry Talbot, all through the Universal monster stuff and Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and even Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein with Larry Talbot in it. Lon Chaney Jr. is the human core of the Universal monsters. He's the only one of them that doesn't want to be what he is.
Yeah, that's a solid point.
He's been forever trying to end this. In Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, he knows what he is, but he's trying to stop Dracula from doing some awful things with Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. And
I know.
It's just so the werewolf as pathos is amazing. It's a perfect creature. It's not the sex of the vampire. It's not the science gone awry of a Frankenstein monster. It is human bestiality. Yeah, and that's what I loved about The Howling. It was people were beasts. Yeah. They were beasts when they weren't werewolves. They were beasts when they were werewolves. It just made them bigger, and that was the best part.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me because I think because my grandfather was a raging alcoholic. And because of that, like my dad does not like werewolves particularly because I've been told, I never actually met my grandfather, but when he wasn't drinking, he was one of the nicest people you'd ever know. And he would have a drink, or two, he'd end up getting drunk and plastered, and he was this monster, this beast. And so my dad to this day does not watch werewolf movies because of that. And I thought that was such like that. I mean, you look at that, of course, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde is also a really good, comparison to alcoholism and things like that. But it's just, you look at the werewolf and it's literally this constant battle between the dark side and the good side of every person. Yeah. And the hating of what, people hating that bad side of themselves, right. And not wanting to be a part of it, not wanting it to happen, but it's there regardless.
Yeah. If you look at vampire movies, I mean, the characters relish vampirism. They love being this thing. Yeah. And it's a curse of lycanthropy. And everything, for the most part. I was really influenced back in the day when Fox first came out and they had the werewolf TV show with Chuck Connors. Only ran for a season, but
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's called Werewolf.
Oh, okay. And
it ran for a season, and it was about a guy who had to go. He got turned into a werewolf, who hated it, and he had to go find the lead werewolf and kill him to get rid of his curse. And essentially, it was the Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby, except werewolves. And I would watch every week.
Hey, you just sold me. I dig it. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
It was great. It was great. It was pure 80s too, with like horrible costuming and the music. And it's never been released on DVD or anything because of the rights for the music. The music issue has been killing it. Well, you can get bootleg. You can watch it on YouTube, I think, too. Okay, but cool. It's tremendous. So yeah, the werewolf is straight up there.
Awesome, man. Okay, well, we got 3. So what's 4?
Alien.
Okay.
All right. Did you have a solid top 5 so far? Like this is an excellent, solid horror movie top 5. This is great.
It's a genre specific top 5, and I mean it's my comfort food too. It's what I go to.
Hey man, I
mean I can't turn off The Godfather 2 when it's on either, but I'm not going to go seek it out.
Yeah, for sure, man. So what about Alien makes you have it on that top 5?
Alien, I think, even with the science fiction setting, the otherworldly setting, it is, I think, the most vulnerable and the most scared I've been for a character in Ripley.
Yeah.
Because you can't leave. No, you're literally in space. You can't leave. Yeah. Things are dying around you. Yeah. It looks like where you live. Yeah. This thing is so good at adapting itself that it can be anywhere at any moment. And I'm a feminist at heart too. So this idea that no one's listening to the smart woman,
right? Yeah,
just enraged me as a child. I'm like, what the actual F, you idiots?
Yeah,
it's crap. So true though. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, she makes sense. You should probably do this. You should just just nuke it and leave, man. Get the F out of there. And
Right.
and no, they're like, no, let's do what everyone does in horror movies. Let's go explore.
Let's go explore.
Okay.
Let's go explore for our corporate masters. And I think that's my favorite part about it too, because that really resonated with me. Like, oh, they're doing this for money.
Yeah.
Bitches are gonna die for money.
They introduced that idea in the very beginning with the two characters that are just arguing about what's their cut and why isn't it more, and so it's just, that's a brilliant way to introduce it. And then that's the whole theme of the whole thing. And then it just brings utter destruction.
Yeah. Chest bursting, and the effects are awesome. H.R. Geiger is amazing. Dan O'Bannon, wonderful flipping script. And Sigourney Weaver, I don't think anyone else could play it, at least in my mind.
No.
And
maybe like a Charlize Theron, but she's not at the same time, But I feel like
and she was in which Alien movie was she in?
Oh, probably 3 or 4. Or so.
No, it was
Prometheus?
she was in Prometheus.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. My favorite Alien is number 3, and I know that's an unpopular decision, but I'm such a huge David Fincher fan.
It's a good
I just
movie.
love everything that he does.
It doesn't get enough love, I don't think.
Yeah.
I know it's hampered by how genius the first one is,
Right.
and the second one is a near perfect action movie.
Good grief, yes.
Yeah.
So the third one you're expecting, we got a prison drama.
Yeah.
And it just okay, all right.
Yeah.
But Fincher, I love Fincher. I love the way Alien 3 looks.
Yeah.
I think that he was still cutting his teeth pacing.
Sure. Yeah.
That he finally
Just coming
perfected
from
probably
like
in 7
videos.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and he did the actual auteur curve, not the Rob Zombie D curve where you got worse.
Yeah.
So I take it you are not a fan of the Rob Zombie Halloween movies.
Oh hell no. No.
I don't mind the first one as much. The second one just went off the rails, man. I was like, what are you doing?
My number one movie of all time, we just determined, was Halloween. And I went to the theater to see Rob Zombie's Halloween because it had, tacitly had a John Carpenter blessing.
Yeah.
I fell asleep.
Whoa.
I fell asleep in that movie.
Funny.
And it was during the 17-hour chase.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
And then, everything that made Michael Myers scary did not happen in that movie. He's got a backstory. He's got an evil alcoholic stepdad. His mom's a stripper. People at school don't like him.
You turned him into a victim. That was my biggest problem. I'm like, well, now I'm not. Yeah. I'm scared kind of because it's Michael Myers, but that's only because of what John Carpenter already did.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
99% of the people that go through harsh life existence don't grow up to kill multiple people.
Right.
So I have absolutely zero sympathy for this little bastard kid. And then to be Tyler Mane when you grow up, you could play basketball, be a professional wrestler, make a bazillion dollars doing whatever you wish. But no, you got to kill a bunch of people. Okay. Yeah. So you are literally more powerful and faster and stronger and more tenuous than the rest of them. And yet I fell asleep because you're so incredibly boring.
Yeah. The only redemptive part of that movie for me is Malcolm McDowell.
He's great.
I love him. As Loomis, I love him. Mm-hmm. I think he did a great job. He did a great, service to the original idea of who Loomis is, and it was just a modern day Loomis, and I loved it. I did like seeing a little bit more like of the backstory on his end, not so much the Michael end, but I liked his side of it. I thought that was really interesting to see.
Yeah. What
are these reboots, the Rob Zombie ones?
Yeah.
Yes,
yep.
they are. Yeah. Well, the first one's a reboot. The second one, he kind of just did his own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, the second one
wasn't very good.
It's a thing.
Don't
it's
watch
a thing
it.
That happened.
Don't watch this. Don't watch it.
Okay.
Maybe watch the first one, but don't watch the second one.
If you want to sleep, watch the first one.
if you need slumber in your life,
go ahead. I told you, I'm having to catch up on 50 years of movies, so I'm always asking Brian, is this even worth watching? You know,
if
just
you're
like,
catching up on 50 years, just eliminate Rob Zombie from your list.
Yeah,
Because you don't need to
worry
waste
about
your
him.
time.
I've not seen any of his movies. So
Good.
Yeah.
Neither is him.
yeah.
He hasn't seen him.
Oh man, yeah. Actually, the Halloween movies are the only Rob Zombie films I have actually seen.
I've seen most. I kind of liked House of a Thousand Corpses from a just an homage standpoint, because I mean he's a huge horror fan, so the House of a Thousand Corpses was paying homage to so many of my favorite things. So that was fun, and of course Rainn Wilson, you can't go wrong with him, even a young Rainn Wilson.
Right.
And then
this was that was pre-Office Rainn Wilson, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who's the Talking Dead guy? Chris, what's his name? Hardwick.
That sounds right, but I don't know.
The Nerdist guy?
Yeah, Nerdist guy. Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, Chris Hardwick. Yeah.
Yeah, so a pre-Talking Dead Chris Hardwick is in that too, and he's really funny.
Yeah, I love him. He's great. A great host on the Talking Dead.
Yeah. All right, so number 5, the final.
Here's my left turn.
Okay.
This is going to be weird. You're going to have to promise not to like look at me funny. But you will anyway. Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park.
All right.
Sorry, I did look at you funny. I apologize.
I know. Everyone does. So it was a TV movie from 1978 where the band Kiss are superheroes. Okay. And it aired,
I've heard of this. Okay. All right. I'm with you now.
It aired twice. I saw it when it aired the first time. So it was 1978. It was the 3 days before Halloween. I'm 7. I begged to stay up for the CBS TV movie. And my heroes, Kiss, played Six Flags in an extended commercial for Six Flags. And they fought robot versions of themselves, and they played concerts, and they had superpowers, and it was amazing.
That's weird.
That sounds, yes, but weird in every good way. Yeah. That sounds amazing.
It was written during the comics, where they had their comic series through Marvel too. So so there was the big to do when they prick their fingers and they put the blood in the ink of the Marvel Super Special #1, and then their TV movie came out, and they were a band, of course, but they were also this living cartoon.
Yeah.
And I think that was a peak moment in my life, deciding like, oh yes, this is a thing that can be done.
Yeah. I, as an adult David, could do something like this.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
It's worse than that, believe it or not, but similar.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, it's story time, David. Okay. We would love to. So take us back to wee little David, and how you got from that stage to where you are now as such a diverse creator.
I would say probably about 3,000 calories a day, most of it fatty food, has resulted in
Amen, sir.
wee little David becoming this behemoth. But so I grew up in Michigan, of course, and where I grew up in Michigan, doing anything like this was not seen as a worthy pursuit.
Yeah.
Sure. So it would, music or theater or writing or, go be a lawyer or a physical therapist or own a body shop. Those are like 3, because you're not smart enough to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Anyone can be a lawyer, but the real money's in the body shop. And for years, my father would tell me, you should just buy some property and do a mini storage. It's like you work for nothing.
Yeah.
They just give you money and you just got to sit there.
Yeah, that's funny.
This is not a thing. Yeah. So I had full intentions of being a stand-up citizen, and I went to Michigan State University. And while I was there, I on a lark, I took an alternative cinema class. And in this class, they screened John Waters' Desperate Living. And early John Waters is gonzo. Yeah. It was this movie. It was about this place called Mortville, and there was a bunch of fat people having sex all the time, and self sex change operations were going on, and early John Waters is insane.
Yeah.
And they're screening this class. They could never do this now. I mean, I would get fired from my job if I screened an early John Waters movie right now. But it's the 90s, and we had no rules. And so I saw everything that I loved, but I never told anyone I loved, someone was doing.
Yeah.
You know, and it was gritty and grimy, and it was low budget, and there was no money, and it was a love letter to B movies and trash. And trash is art, and bad taste is art. So I really started to develop that. I got out of Michigan State. I got an English degree, and I started working on the Iowa tests. I moved to Chicago. Took those in school. Probably hated me. Sorry. And it's a thing. Yeah. And then I went nuts, and I got a job in a coffee shop. And I decided then that I wanted to work in the arts. I wanted to be a performer like I tried to do as a kid, but was dissuaded from. And I wanted to write like I tried to do in college, but people told me, yeah, you're not that good. And I just stopped listening to people. And I started embezzling coffee from where I worked and giving it to this theater company down the street. Anytime they come in, I give them free stuff. They got pounds of coffee. You know, I apologize, you know, President Starbucks, that's where I was working. Whatever. My bad. This is your fault. And so they eventually said, hey, you know what? You keep bugging us. You get to be on stage.
That's funny.
Awesome.
So I started to learn from them, and I trained with them. And it was essentially a gay theater company. And they were bringing me in as the token straight guy to play the straight characters.
Awesome.
Which is the best character to play in any comedy. The guy that just doesn't know what's going on.
So clueless. And my acting boot camp, my training came for fighting for stage space from like 7.5 foot drag queens. Yeah. Which is absolutely wonderful. And the first show they put me in was called Rudolph the Red-Hosed Reindeer.
Awesome.
About a poor transvestite reindeer. And I played the abominable drag beast of the North. That lip sync Bette Midler stuff.
Awesome.
So we borrowed costumes from Angels in America was playing at a real theater, so they got the costumes for that, and I'm wearing this giant fur costume. And that turned into we did a show called Scary the Musical, which was Carrie, like Brian De Palma's Carrie, transgendered musical version. And so I played PJ Soul's character, and we ran for a year. And
cool.
It was amazing. It was an amazing thing, and I learned so much. And I started to do a bunch of B movies at the time. I got really into Ed Wood. Yeah. And I did a couple of Ed Wood novels were turned into movies, and I worked on those. And eventually moved to Phoenix with my wife. And there I kind of started to really get into the horror genre as a player. So in the Southwest, I was pretty big for a while. Had some Lionsgate movies where I was starring in and getting into the production and writing more. Writing is so much more. And so as I wrote more and I got more production jobs, and that morphed into becoming an educator in terms of film and communications and English, which I was doing before. And that really kind of morphed into moving back to Michigan for family reasons, and there's no production in Michigan. So I kind of turned that focus to my first love of comics. Yeah. So I started working comics and novels, doing some screenwriting here and there, but really kind of started to hit the stride in the past 5 or 6 years as a graphic novelist. And that's really kind of taken off since then.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
you how many books do you have published specifically through Source Point Press? You do a lot of work with them, don't you?
Yeah, I do a lot of Source Point. I do a lot of work with. I was the first outside IP they picked up with Rotten Tail.
Yeah,
Source Point's only about 5 years. 5 years I sold. Yeah, and I've probably got a good 7 or 8 titles specifically through them. And then the novel division, I got the rights back for most of my novels and collections. So I did, I re-released my back catalog through them as well.
Oh, okay. Great. That's awesome. That's cool. Awesome. And you got, was it Dial P for Peanuts? Yeah, that's your newest.
Right? 7 days.
Yes.
Yes. 11/25 it'll hit the comic shops. And Dial P, that started way back in the theater days as well.
Yeah.
I was at Grand Canyon University, and I was the chair of communications and some other major that no one had some interdisciplinary shit or something. I don't know, something. But it was the communications chair, and I was also the writer in residence. It's because the theater and film department that I built the film department with my partner, and then the theater department was going. So I had this idea that I wanted to update the Peanuts gang.
Yeah,
the Peanuts gang taught us how to be just absolutely horrible human beings. They taught us that mediocre was okay.
Yeah.
And that just be you. You don't have to perform well. You don't, thank God everyone in medical school didn't take the Charlie Brown approach that I tried hard, because we'd all be dead at this point. So I wanted to take this thing and see and update it so the Peanuts gang is all grown up. Mm-hmm. And they have all committed these awful atrocities in their adult lives, largely because Charlie Brown ruined them. So funny. They get invited to this Agatha Christie-esque murder house, and we did a play version of it.
Yeah.
And for a few nights, and it sold out. It was wonderful, and we just let it sit for days and days and days and days and years and years and years and years. And I woke up one day a couple of years ago, and I said, hey, I do a lot of comic books. How come I haven't done this yet?
Yeah.
Because, so we actually did it. The comic came out wonderful. Kurt Belcher did the art on this, and he kind of mimicked the Charles Schultz style. Every page looks like you're reading a newspaper.
Oh,
so
that's great.
It's a 6 panels. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge mystery fan. So pulling in the Agatha Christie elements and the Charles Schultz elements, I'm super proud of it. I think it's one of the best things that I personally that I think I've done.
That's cool. Great, man. Well, I know when I first saw it, we're connected on Facebook. When I first saw the announcement, I love Peanuts. Yeah. Like I love Charlie Brown. I love Snoopy. And I think anytime anybody goes out of their way to make fun of it, it's usually comedy gold. And so I'm excited about this. I'm gonna have it pre-ordered here. Probably tonight. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, indeed. Oh, that's fantastic. So, so you started making comics, and that's kind of where you've landed currently.
Yeah. So it's where I'm at. I came full circle to the movie stuff because they made a film of Rotten Tail.
Yeah.
Based off my screenplay. And that was interesting to not have to do anything except just show up.
Okay, so that was my question, because I was looking through your credits and you didn't really seem to do a whole lot on the movie side of things. So how was that? How did that feel from making movies and things like that to then having your work being made, and you get to did you get to go in on set while they were making it and stuff? Oh, it's great.
Yeah. So it was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
The best part is if someone hates it, I have ultimate deniability.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So they just screwed it up.
It's directors, man, whatever.
Yeah. Well, Mike Mignola talked about that, with Hellboy. He said, my advice to any kind of comic creator or anybody, if you have means to do a movie, go ahead and do it, because even if the director completely screws it up, you now have a broader audience to be like, well, if you didn't like that, you might like my actual comic because it's nothing like this or something. Right. Or if it's great, then hey, that's even better.
Win-win.
Exactly.
So it was an interesting journey, and I'm really appreciative of Source, because Source Point produced it too. Yeah. It's not like they went all in and did the funding and everything. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a very cool moment to think that they had the intellectual property from me that they could bank on, which is nice. So
that is really cool. They're such a great group of people, man. I've fortunately been able to rub shoulders with most of them. Most of you guys pop up at Comic Cons that I've been to, and I've been able to meet quite a few. I haven't been able to meet you yet in person, unfortunately, but I give it time. Once we get through this dumpster fire of pandemic that we find ourselves in, and we're back at home at the Comic Cons, I'm sure we'll be able to hang out eventually.
Most definitely.
We're gonna make Brian a Bubble Boy suit so that he can go to the
So I have asthma really bad, and so I have had to pretty much stay inside this whole time. Doctor's orders were don't go anywhere because you'll explode from the COVID. And so I've now I'm literally to the point where my next comic that comes out is called The Nebulizer, which is literally Iron Man asthmatic. And so it's awesome. This is what I've become. Yeah. So
that's awesome. So, write what you know.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But no, yeah. So as soon as this is a possibility, I can't wait to get back to Comic Cons. Let's talk about that for just a second.
Yeah.
So when did you start hitting up the Comic Con circuit?
You really want to know?
I really want to know. Was it a long time ago?
It was.
Yeah.
My first Comic Con I ever went to as a fan was the Motor City Comic Con.
Yeah.
In 1988.
All right.
And
I was
had a
4.
license. I was 17. I got to go. And they're nothing like they are today. Really exhibiting probably regularly starting in Arizona about 2001.
Okay, cool. So just because like I know obviously like from the 80s and the 90s, Comic Cons were pretty much like in a side room at a hotel, a few creators, and that was about it. In the early 2000s, where were we as far as with a Comic-Con? Were we in like convention halls yet, or was it still hotel?
So I was still in the 2001 2002. I was working for a company called Spectrum Films and Dead Alive Films, and so they were DVD distributors, completely shady. They ripped off so many people. Oh terrible! Snap. They ripped off Peter Jackson. They did the DVD release of Meet the Feebles and stiffed them.
What?
Yeah, it was wonderful to be a part of this. And so I exhibited at San Diego Comic-Con with them.
Okay.
So that was still this huge, massive thing. But it was the only one, though. That one in New York.
Yeah.
But so I would come back to Phoenix, and the first Phoenix Comic-Con was in the Glendale Library.
Awesome.
You know what? I kind of dig library shows, honestly. Like I do a couple of them, and the couple that I do, I mean, they're free for the vendors, but like it's kind of like it's a nice thing, like for the community almost. But it's definitely not the same feel. I dig them.
I like the one-day shows. I'm a big fan of just someone setting up at a VFW because then readers come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to sit with the guy picking his nose with the Punisher shirt on and the Captain America hat saying, I don't read. Like,
right. Yeah.
Of course you don't. Why would you?
Right.
We can learn something.
We can tell, sir. It's fine.
So at Phoenix Comic-Con, so nerd culture was still way in the closet and just a bunch of freaks. We were all a bunch of freaks. Some of us were functional freaks that could have whole jobs and stuff. Yeah. But the first person that walked up to us, we had in 2002, to tell you how long it took to make Rotten Tail, there was an 8-page preview comic of Rotten Tail is all we had on the table.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute
journey. Yeah.
And so this guy walks up, it's Phoenix in the summer, and he's got a parka on and he's picking his nose and he goes for the book, and we were like, stop right there, MFer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were not touching anything.
Use your other hand.
Yeah.
So, and it was us, and then next to us was Steve Rude.
Excellent.
Was it Mothman? Was that his thing?
Oh, I don't know. Here, we have the power.
Yeah.
Steve Rude's the Moth. It was something crazy. He had like 2.3 seconds of Marvel fame.
Yeah.
And then, it was intense.
Now I have to know. Hold on.
We're all looking at the same thing here.
I know.
Is this it? Is this the guy?
Oh, could be. Maybe. It's been 20 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just see a lot of animation. And then I see the Ring soundtrack. That's all I got for this guy. So I don't know. Oh, well, we can edit this out. It's no big deal.
It's fine.
Or keep it in and let the audience be in suspense.
Right, because that's what we do.
Right. The mystery and intrigue.
I wonder who that incredibly obscure independent creator was.
I must know. I will never sleep again until I find the answer.
He's probably tweeting out anti-mask stuff at this point, so everyone's going to be super disappointed when they roll up to him.
Right? He's like, "Oh no, he's not one of those guys." Oh man,
they all are.
Oh gosh, good grief!
But yeah, the conventions have changed so much, and with Source Point, it's been nice. Back when I was doing more films, I would get invites for like the movie stuff.
Yeah.
And so I go on and be signing DVDs and whatever they do. And then that stopped and no one cared about me. And so I started going with SourcePoint and being like a guest with SourcePoint and being one of the creators there. And to see that company grow into what it's become has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool. I met Travis probably right after the Diamond Distribution deal. Right after that started. And then like, you know, kind of just moving forward there. Like it's been really fun to just know a lot of you guys and see all of you, like, you know, you and Garrett Gunn and different people that are getting really cool deals and really, you know, it's just a really fun journey to see, to be friends with you guys and see that happen for you is great. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I wish there was money involved. I mean, Travis takes it all.
We don't.
Travis has a mansion, man.
Oh, I've heard the legend of his golden rooms and everything that he has inside. Yes. Oh, good grief. No, but he's I love it because he kind of reminds me of you, Jeremy, honestly. Like he has a similar demeanor. And like the
sounds
first time,
awesome.
I don't know him very well. I've only met him like once or twice, but the dude's actually a really solid guy. Like he's awesome.
He's a horrible human. Absolutely horrible human.
And it's so funny because that's how everyone describes him, with such love. Just exactly that way. Terrible person. Terrible. Can't stand him.
Person. Yeah. And the best part, he would describe me the exact same way. Horrible human beings.
Yep, terrible people. We love each other. It's great.
that is the vibe that I put off most of the time.
It is. Yeah, very much.
Why are you the way you are? I don't know.
I don't know. My mother took some drugs when I was in uterus. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's been a fun ride, though. You know,
things have definitely been interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, David. Next question we've got for you is: we've talked about all the things that you've done in all kinds of different mediums. Out of all of those things, what is what's your favorite way to create?
I hadn't been provided this question either. I should have had a better answer.
No, you are not prepared for this one.
So everything has its own merits. The collaborative thing of a film is wonderful. Being able to create a character as an actor is wonderful. I think graphic novels are the perfect medium. I really do. It's the perfect synthesis between imagery and text. But I'm going to have to go with, because I am a horrible curmudgeon and I like to live in caves, nothing is a complete product unless it's like a prose novel. As a writer, you have a product at the end of that. If you write a comic script, you do not have a product. You have to go find someone to help you make a product. And with a screenplay, you have something that's going to sit in a drawer for 800 years, and eventually you turn it into a graphic novel. So those don't even sell at all.
Yeah.
But I'd say probably the favorite thing I've written has been Cherub. It's a novella. It's entirely incredibly disturbing. It's not for the weak. It's not even for me. I don't even like reading it.
As you're writing it, you're like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Oh,
really? Because it started like that. It started as a bet with a friend of mine, like, who can outgross each other?
That's hilarious.
I didn't stop. But but it's a complete product, though. At the end of it, it was 100% what I decided it to be.
Yeah.
And that's that's a very cool feeling.
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I'm one of those weird hate myself kind of people, because I write and can draw and color and all that jazz. So like with my comics, I can actually have a finished product after I do it, but it just takes me forever, and I don't get to see anyone ever because I do everything. So
it's almost as if you should have people to help you.
Yeah, but I also like to pay for talent, and I don't have that money. So
I'm a big fan of paying for talent.
Yeah, if you can't afford to pay people, you just better learn to do it yourself.
I think conversely, I mean, I would love to be able to draw something, but I think for comics and graphic novels, just personally, that other eye is absolutely necessary. You know, if I could draw, would I have pulled off the Peanuts look like Kurt did? No.
Yeah.
In The Rot, Sean Seal is a classically trained, acrylic painter. So that presentation is absolutely indicative of the story. So it meshes so well. And I think that knowing me, that I wouldn't do anything well, but I would do it anyway. So it's probably best that I just don't attempt.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's it's very true. The collaborative, there's even in drawing and writing a comic, there's still that collaborative effort, because I have at least 2 different editors for everything that I do, just so that I have those extra eyes, because like you said, that's crucial. Because you don't want to, like, in your head, it could all make sense. It could all be perfect. It could all be great because the story, what's coming 17 issues ahead from now. It all makes sense. And then you give it to somebody and they're like, this doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what's happening. Who are these people? Yeah. And so you have to, on some level, in any of this, movie, filmmaking, comics, any of that, you have to have a collaborator. And even in prose, you send it off to an editor, you send it off to somebody who chops it up and spits it back out at you and makes you cry, and then you have to go back and rewrite.
If you do it wrong.
I'm only speaking from experience, so it's
I mean, like with Cherub, it was it turned out being intensely personal, but it's I over the years, I've been doing this for a really long time. So I can put out a really clean manuscript after 2-3 drafts. So with a little editorial oversight now, because I know I edit myself, and I don't edit myself, but I edit myself for others, and it's you learn so much more trying to work with other people's things than that you can apply to what you do. But I still have good editors. Travis is not one of them.
Stephanie Menard, we had her on the show, and she said something similar about editing is like being a writer herself as well as an editor, it strengthens you, and you're able to kind of see what other people do and working with their scripts that they trust you with, and you learn from them and learn from therefore it makes you a better writer just by reading and kind of being a part of their creative process as well.
Yeah, I swear by Casey Pierce, who you're probably
she's great. With. Yeah, she's awesome.
At Red Pen Media is her service, and I send everything to Casey.
Yeah. No, I absolutely will be. I had her and Stephanie on the list, and I'm proud to say Stephanie's actually the editor for the Nebulizer. Nice. So cool. The next editor that I branch out to will definitely be Red Pen, because Casey is phenomenal and does a fantastic job.
She certainly
in her own work as well.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, so kind of changing up gears a little bit. I hear that you do or have done some paranormal investigating.
I did.
Is that true? And tell us a little bit about that.
So I've always been fascinated with it, right? Mm-hmm. I suffer from occupational envy. Yeah, and if I see something cool, I'm going to go try it. Like, I don't know, jump off a turnbuckle on someone. Right. Or, any number of horrible bands I've had. Or, hey, why don't you be an actor one day? Like, anyone can do this. Yeah. And so I got really into paranormal investigations. And I did it mainly in Arizona. And so I was part of a group out there and just did the usuals until we went to Jerome, Arizona. It's probably the most haunted city in the world.
Really?
A little Arizona town. There was an insane asylum on the top of this mountain, and the city was built in the mountain around it, the town.
Yeah.
And the insane asylum is now a giant hotel.
But as it should be.
Awesome.
It is. And so there's lots of fun stuff in there. But just down the road from this hotel was an old burn hospital. From the 1920s, and the burn hospital is empty and abandoned because when it was filled with burn patients in the 30s, it burned down.
That's ironic.
Oh yeah. So let's say you're like the worst thing you've ever went through. You just did it again to die.
Oh God.
And so that was probably the most intense place that we ever investigated. Weird things like noises and stuff from there. The only real proof that I ever saw that I got, and it's been lost to digital hard drives and things over time, but it was a Civil War prison in South Carolina.
Okay.
And we went in there, we went through this tour, and we're going through doing some investigating stuff. And my wife was with us. She usually doesn't do this, but she was starting to feel really sick. And it was just a weird thing because she doesn't get into any of this stuff, but she's starting to be affected by things. And we took a picture, and when we got the digital pictures back later, there was this white like serpentine thing wrapped around her.
What?
That's wild.
That is crazy. So like what like did you ever discover like what it could have been? Was there like a story that kind of unmatched that at all? Or
no, I mean it was a Civil War prison. It's where they kept oh God, I don't remember her name. It was the woman that did experiments on slaves.
Oh.
Laluli or Lalande or something like that. They could have been lying. I have no idea. They really could have been lying. But it's lots of trauma in a prison, especially a prison in the 1800s in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So it could have been absolutely anything, but it was really weird, really bizarre. Other than that, did some house investigations. I was trained by some really fun people, and they're like, when you go investigate a house, first thing you do is check the medicine cabinet. See what they're on.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah.
That's
and
funny.
the second thing you do is you look at their computer, and if their screensaver is Ghost Adventures, just leave.
You mean you don't go inside a haunted house and scream and intimidate the ghosts?
God, I love watching those guys. I watch with my niece. She's 15. We call them ghost douches. Like, are the ghost douches on? Like, yeah,
accurate.
Let's watch it.
So accurate, man. And I always want to call him. Oh, what's his first name? His last name's Baggins or
Zach.
Bagans or what is? Yeah, is it Bagans? Is that how
it's some weird Hobbit name?
I don't know. Yeah, man. Every time I'm like, shut up. Your name's Frodo. I know who you are.
Oh, Mr. Underhill, investigating those ghosts.
Indeed, sir. Yes. Oh, gosh.
But I turned 50 next year. And if we're allowed to go out, I am planning a massive trip. You're more than welcome to join to Las Vegas to Mr. Underhill's Paranormal Museum.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're gonna get
dude.
just like loaded for 2 days and go there. I'll keep everyone posted.
Yeah, please do. That would be fantastic if we could have a Dingoes exclusive paranormal journey.
Yeah. Sometime you should come down to Louisville. We've got a haunted place. It's called Waverly Hills.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've heard of Waverly Hills.
Yeah.
Ain't no one in the biz haven't heard of Waverly Hills.
Yeah. It's actually weird because like I grew up about 15 minutes away from Waverly Hills, and never saw it because I was not an adventurous youth. And then finally, because when I was a kid, it was like closed, condemned, like they had security guards, like you couldn't go near it because there was so much vandalism that happened in the 80s. And then they open it up as a haunted house, and of course, they do the tours. They too, though, are about to open it up as a hotel. At least the first two floors. Right? Yeah, the two floors. The first 2 floors are going to be a hotel. Yeah,
it's a super smart thing. It's like a destination thing for Gen X and millennials.
Yeah,
people that can afford this stuff now because now we're old enough. We have jobs and things.
Right.
Yeah. So now, perfect.
Oh, yeah,
that's cool.
I can't wait for that hotel to open up. I think it was supposed to open either this year or next, but obviously the pandemic has delayed things.
Yeah.
I'm staying there.
There you go, man. So whenever that happens and you venture down here, we'll connect and we'll have a nice reunion episode as we walk through and get our pants scared off. I've seen a couple pictures from friends who have taken tours where like there's an unexplained thing.
Yeah.
Like I know so many people, who have been there, where they have like evidence or they have like personal experiences where like just like light completely disappears and it's like, and then you just feel sick.
Right.
And if you have a chance to take a picture, there's always something weird there. There's one picture. Oh my gosh. A coworker of mine, she was on a tour with some friends. Everybody exited the room, every single person, and she just turned around and she was taking pictures. And one of the pictures that she swears up and down there was absolutely nobody in there when she took the picture because they were all leaving the floor. And there was a shrouded, complete, you could barely see the outline, a shrouded black tall figure with just a faint white face. It is terrifying. It is so freaking scary. And I was like, dude, that rocks. And of course there's always like the stories of like the little boy with the ball. That's pretty famous with Waverly.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, no.
TV show pitch?
Oh yeah, go for it.
All right. It's a paranormal show. So like half of my degree set is in writing in English, and the other half is in forensic psychology. So I've got a forensic psychology background, and I started a PhD in March.
Yeah.
To finish that out.
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah,
that's
we'll
awesome.
See what happens. We'll see. But I want to go to unsolved crime scenes as a paranormal investigative team with a forensic psychologist, and use that gimmick to try and suss out the solution to the unsolved crime.
Interesting. That sounds like an NBC show right there, sir. Yeah. I think you should just go ahead and send that over to them. I would.
Right, just do it right now and say, I'll text them.
Just do it, yeah. Just text
Mr.
them up.
NBC.
Dear NBC.
Oh,
got a
man.
Peacock one for you.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Trust me.
So I think it would be fun to be on one of those shows.
It would be.
I had the caveat when I worked
Sorry, go ahead.
When I worked at Grand Canyon University, I had the caveat that if I ever got on the Ghost Hunter show, that I would just leave without notice. And they were like, "Okay, that's the one. There you go. You don't have to provide notice for that one."
Right? Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, that's great. So
I completely forgot what I was going to say. So
I derailed conversations.
No, it's fine. I just have ADHD, so whenever something pops into my head, I start jabbering about it. And then completely forget it afterwards.
It's actually it's a fun thing. We should start to sell tickets to it. I think it's great.
It's like plausible deniability too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I text Brian all the time, like, how do we do this? And he's like, we literally just talked about this yesterday. It's in the text thread. Like, why are you asking me about that? He's not mean about it, but I feel like I do that all the time.
No, that's exactly how I sound when I type it. So.
F you. Look up.
What's wrong with you? Grow up. Gosh. No.
That's not even a real disease. Quit faking.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, I think with our final time that we have here, good sir, we got a couple last questions for you that are
awesome.
Kind of inspiring other people and as well as just exploring, if you could tell your younger creative self anything, right, what would it be?
Ignore them and start sooner. I feel like I wasted so much time. And I know logically I didn't, but I feel like because I didn't really start anything until 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to for years before that. So young, not quite as fat me. First, put down that sandwich. Second, start sooner.
Just be better, please.
Just be better.
Come on.
Okay, that's cool. I feel like everybody kind of says a similar thing. Like,
do they
stop worrying about what other people think or what you think is like the traditional way to go about doing something. I think it's better when people have to struggle a little bit to figure something out.
Oh yeah,
because I think they enjoy it a lot more. They really appreciate that journey that they had.
I would also tell myself, all right, learn right now. The only way to make money in the entertainment industry is to prey off people who want to make money in the entertainment industry. So once you get that down, then become a coach or, an editor or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, you're not going to buy a house with your stupid comic books.
Oh gosh, it's funny. The first advice a friend of mine who let me break it, or gave me my first shot in comics. The first piece of advice he said was, "You're never going to make any money doing this. Just make sure you're doing it for the love of it, and have a good job, and marry someone who is going to, have a decent job as well, so you can continue to do this." And I was
That's
like,
up there.
yeah, there you go. Those are some, and I feel like I did all those things. So
yeah, it's like one, marry the first person that sleeps with you sober. 2, get off before she suffocates. The things the wonderful advice from my dad, I guess.
Yeah. My wife is a doctor. She's a pediatrician.
Mhm.
And I always joke, like when she's in earshot, just because she knows that I love her so much. But I always joke with people like, who is smarter, the person that went to med school and became a doctor, or the guy that convinced the doctor to marry him? Right?
Indeed. Yes.
I think I win.
Yeah.
You do win.
Well, I didn't have to do any of the work.
We have the world's dumbest beagle, and I'm always saying that this dog is so dumb, but the dog's not. The dog is living on Easy Street.
Yeah.
I'm dumb
for sure.
I'm stupid.
Yeah, you don't charge him for anything.
Yeah.
I could get a commercial out of the dog. Who knows?
Right.
Something, but no, I don't. So yes, you are a kept man, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's why I'm allowed to turn my basement into a studio and be a freelancer. I love it, and I'm very appreciative of it.
Here's the better thing: you only have a basement because of the doctor.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I would have died many years ago if my wife hadn't provided insurance all these years of me.
Oh gosh, yeah, man.
I know. Yep. All right, David. What are some common traps that you can think of that you can help aspiring creators avoid them?
First, this dog is killing me right now. The dumb beagle is whining right next to me.
Oh,
so dumb.
So dumb.
Okay, so they're coming to get you. Hold on. Common traps that people fall into. First, plan. Plan everything. I'm a big outliner. I want to make every decision that I'm going to make in a story long before I start the typing. Long before that. So if you don't know how something ends, you can't build to it.
Okay.
So that would be my bit. Don't try and wing it. Is my sense. I map out emails that I'm going to send. I'm that nerd. But I would say plan ahead. And then second, don't worry about the how do I put it? Don't worry about I'm gonna say like how much money you could possibly make from it. That's not the weird thing. Like don't worry about the market. Don't create things to try and fill a need out in the world. Fill your need first.
Okay.
So you write or create something, create the things that you want to see that aren't out there. That's that's what every great creator's ever done. Ask Clive Barker. Yeah. See, look, that's my niece Sid. She's coming down to get the dog.
Hi.
Dog's an idiot.
Bye, dog.
I just picture the dog like, okay, let's go. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's most beagles, though.
Yeah, no.
It really is. That's another thing that pisses me off about Peanuts. Snoopy was far too smart to be a beagle.
Yes.
Far
Agreed.
too smart.
Yep. Agreed. Oh, that's
my
hilarious.
beagle, Chloe, the beagle is a dope. Just a dope.
Yeah.
The door was open and the food was upstairs. But I had to have someone come down and get her and convince her to just go to the place she just came from.
Right.
The food was.
Yeah.
It's like a goldfish. Oh, yeah. We're here now. Okay, cool. I
like
remember
this
nothing
condo.
else about my life.
Yeah.
I've always been in this condo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. So serve the story and write and create the things that you think are lacking.
Mm.
I desperately wanted to see someone kill the Peanuts gang, so I did.
Yeah.
All right.
You know?
That's awesome.
Sweet.
I love holiday themed horror movies and stories, and Easter was severely lacking. So we made
yes.
make
That's
things
true.
you want to see.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Next year, I'm still trying to talk Travis into the next holiday one, because we did Kringle for last Christmas.
Yeah, I have that book actually. Good.
Oh,
sir.
how terrible
It's
is
on. It's no. I haven't read the whole thing. But it is on my stack. I have, because I'm a creator, and you understand this. I have a never-ending stack of books that I have bought, supported on Kickstarter, all that jazz, and I've read a couple of them, and
Right.
I'm gonna get to the rest before I die. So, and the stack just keeps building.
It does. I've really cut down my comic buying though. And but my comic book nerd street cred is I have every Swamp Thing appearance ever.
What?
Okay.
In like cameos and anything.
Dude, really? That's impressive.
Yeah, Swamp Thing it's my thing.
Yeah.
How many?
So you
how
like
many
Alan
is that?
Moore's?
Oh gosh, how many? I'm looking at long boxes.
A lot.
Lots.
It's a lot.
I have no frame of reference. Just
I mean, how many years did Alan Moore work on Swamp Thing alone?
He worked on it for about 10 years, I think.
Yeah. And that was
maybe
just the 80s.
A little shorter. And that was like the 80s and the early 90s.
Yeah.
And that ran for 181 issues. That second series, the Bernie Wrightson, Len Wein series ran for like 14, I believe. And then they had little series after that. Then he was in Challengers of the Unknown. But I'm obsessive about the old Swamp Thing.
okay.
So how do you feel about, have you been able to see the new TV show?
Oh yeah, I signed up for DC Universe. I'm
Just
like
to
me and
watch
three other people.
Yeah.
And then, but I loved it. I love it. It was truncated quickly. It kind of fell off. But we know Derek Mears from working on Hollison and stuff, and I think he did a wonderful job. Wonderful job with it.
Yeah, I saw the first episode, and I have it actually. And it's phenomenal. Just the one episode that I've seen is great. And I think, are they just re-releasing it on the CW now?
Right. So yeah, they did it, and hopefully there's going to be enough interest to carry it on.
Yeah,
it'd be under CW budget, but
any but at the same time, just take that Supernatural money and put it over, put it over here.
Yeah, because so many people want to see Swamp Thing.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing though. It will be premiering after Supernatural is over, because tomorrow night is the last episode, which I never thought would ever happen. And so because of that, there will be a significant supernatural paranormal-esque show that there's be a severe lacking in that. So I think Swamp Thing might actually come in and fill that void.
And it's really well done. It's really well done. And I know they canceled when they had to cancel it for the funding weird Louisiana, I don't know, whatever thing they were dealing with. But it wrapped up way too quickly because that's where they were. But
they
Blue Devil
canceled
was
it.
great.
Yeah, they canceled it so quickly. I think
they canceled it before it premiered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was like, and people they released the trailer, and then literally like a month later, they announced that it was being canceled. It was crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was all funding and tax credit issues.
Yeah.
I wonder why HBO Max didn't pick it up, because they picked up essentially the whole DC Universe channel, right?
I think it's because they're trying it out on the CW first.
And the CW is a better play for it, because the HBO Max wasn't going to do the series over again. And so, but they used it. So in the last Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover for CW, Swamp Thing is in the very end of that. In Earth 23, I believe, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the Flash movie, because obviously you saw Ezra Miller in the Crisis, which was a fun scene. And, and now, there's, you've got Michael Keaton pretty much all but confirmed is gonna be the Tim Burton Batman, and then now Ben Affleck's been announced as well. So now there's rumors that Brandon Routh's Superman may actually be in that movie as well.
Right.
That's the new fresh set of rumors that I've read in the last few days. So I'm pretty interested to see where DC is going.
I am too. I mean, I love crossovers too.
Oh yeah, it's
I
great.
do like Secret Wars and Crisis on Infinite Earths back in the day. Loved it. Contest of Champions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man, it's great. I think that's why the Marvel movies have been so successful.
Yeah,
because they were able to do it well, and pretty much
because they knew how it was going to end before they started.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing is, if you have a good ending before you start it, it's going to be a better story.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to you, Game of Thrones.
So they had that plan from Iron Man 1.
Probably right after Iron Man 1, because they had to see how well Iron Man did.
Okay. I just didn't know.
And so, maybe during, because Iron Man was the first one that they distributed on their own too.
Yeah.
So there was yeah.
I think,
I didn't realize that.
They did Iron Man on their own, and then once it took off and Disney bought them, then that was when they were like, okay, here's the plan. I'm sure it was in somebody's notebook before.
Prior to Disney, they had the phases mapped out.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Iron Man was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
See how old we are now.
I am just the absent-minded professor. So my desk is a mess. Like I forget things all of the time. So just thinking about planning something for like 12 years into the future, like that doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't compute.
Why would anyone do anything so stupid?
Yeah.
And that's why they're rich.
Yeah, that's
and we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm in my basement. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, last question for you, man.
Yep.
How have other creators in your circle, we kind of touched on this, but how have other creators in your circle challenged you and made you a better writer / storyteller?
This is when I'm going to take off my hat and I'm going to praise Travis McIntyre for a moment. Doesn't happen often. Besides every day, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
So the cool part about the people I've worked with just historically, and most notably Source Point Press right now, is that they're unflinching in letting you know how stupid you are.
Okay.
And if it's a dumb idea, I will probably forge ahead anyway with it, but they'll let me know that this is probably the stupidest plan ever.
Yeah.
And, besides the fact that the Source Point Press business model is just dumb enough to work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too dumb.
Yeah.
So I'm currently trying to get Travis to buy into my Thanksgiving idea, which you want to hear it?
Oh yes, please.
So stupid. It's really stupid. It's called Turkey Day. And one of the biggest things that I hate about Thanksgiving is that we tell this story where the wonderful white people came over and bonded with the Native Americans, and they showed each other how to cook, and they had a wonderful dinner. And there's no mention of smallpox blankets or genocide or an eventual trail of tears. It just pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those woke middle-aged white guys or whatever. And, and so in my story, there's a small town, much like the one I grew up in, much like the one in Kringle. And they're putting on a Thanksgiving pageant.
Yeah.
The town gets together. Their biggest the gross product is turkey farming. So this is their big time of year. And it's the white people dressed as Native Americans, and it's the pilgrims, and these alien parasites land. And they infect the turkeys. So they take over the turkeys. So the turkeys of the turkey farm have been affected by alien parasites, and the alien parasite turkeys march on to the pageant. Okay. And all they can say, because of their turkey biology in their throats, is Plymouth Rook. They're like, so the people in the pageant think that the turkeys are there in peace to saying Plymouth Rock. These aliens are here to be a part of this festivities and use Thanksgiving as a way to initiate contact, and they just summarily decimate everything, just destroy humanity.
That's funny. That's
awesome. I feel like I got some serious Rotten Tail vibes just through that pitch right there. I feel like that you just bypass the comic and go straight for the
to the movie.
Yeah, just go ahead and do that.
Everyone's got a couple.
You just picture it like really bad claymation turkeys.
Oh, I love it.
That'd be fantastic, man.
I would love
it. Yeah.
So it's really hard to find, there's only a couple of Thanksgiving horror movies.
I don't even know if I can think of one.
There's the 3 Thanksgivings, which is they're horrible. The talking turkeys. I don't recommend those at all. There's a nice vintage one called Blood Rage.
I like it.
Which is it's streaming on Prime. So for Thanksgiving, pop on Blood Rage, and it's a wonderful hokey twins. Someone's killing somebody. Worst Thanksgiving dinner ever. Oh, it's glorious, glorious. Love it.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. But no, I think there's something there. So Travis, if by mistake you're watching this, dude, sir, definitely greenlight this.
I want to get Travis to watch it. Yeah. Put the link out there that says that he's in it.
Yeah.
Our interview with Travis McIntyre.
They'll be like, wait, what?
It'll be me.
All right. So when this episode airs, we'll let you know ahead of time, and we can all plot together and make it happen. Yeah. I love
you did a great interview with those Dastardly Dingoes there, Travis.
What? Huh?
When did I do that? I don't know. You might have been drunk. Who knows?
That's why it was so good. You said crazy things.
Why you're probably loaded.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. This was great. It was a great time, and you are more than welcome to come back on whenever you want.
Absolutely.
And we're actually starting next season. We are going to bring some people back for some topical episodes because this season was more interview focused. We're still going to do that next season, but we're also going to be talking. We're going to have a horror episode, so we would absolutely love to have you back for that.
If you have a WrestleMania episode, let me know.
Oh, dude, we might just make one just for you.
Yeah.
I'll get some wrestlers to come on.
Yes, I love them. They're wrestlers. Let's do it. Oh man. Well, for one final time, good sir, David Hayes. Tell us where we can find all your work.
Awesome. Thank you. So you go to my website. It's davidchayes.com, or my entire catalog is pretty much through SourcePoint Press. You can find SourcePoint Press at oxeyemedia.com. So OXEYE media.com. That is the parent company that owns SourcePoint Press, as well as Deepwater Games for all your board game needs, and N3 Art.
Okay.
Great. All right, man. Thank you again. And everyone, thank you all for tuning into the Dastardly Dingoes podcast. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, hit that bell to get notified when we have a new episode. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, have fun, be safe, and support indie creators. See you next time, everybody.
Bye.